What's up, folks? Welcome to our panel, Why Aren't Classrooms More Like Video Games? My name is Zach, and I'm a kindergarten through 8th grade technology integrator from North Central New Hampshire, and I'm joined by a couple of my colleagues who I certainly don't know as well as they know themselves, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Andrew Tyler. I work K-8. I'm a tech integrator in Andover, New Hampshire. And I see about 250 kids for my curriculum, for my class.
I'm Kari Zielke, and I am an elementary school teacher. I'm primarily grade 3, but occasionally float around to grade 4. And I work with, on a regular day, anywhere from 25 to 80 students.
So, what caught our eye this year in my district in particular is the state of student engagement is relatively quite low right now. When I was in school, which was not that long ago, my class wanted to learn. We wanted to do things that would enhance our education, and we didn't care how we were rewarded with that. Now, generally that equivocated to we just wanted the A, but we wanted to get more out of our learning, so we would push ourselves beyond the call of the classroom. I don't see that anymore. When we recently took a survey of my students at Wentworth Elementary School, the students didn't even realize how much time they were spending on their screens. They didn't realize, they didn't count things like their cell phones or a handheld game system. So we had to have them redo that survey. And it was really upsetting how much time they spend in front of the screen during the day. They ask me why I wear gunner glasses almost every week. And the reason is, there's screens everywhere. Like I said, the phone, the handheld games, the tablets, certainly the video game systems, the TVs, even the dashboard in my car has an LCD screen that emits blue light and is bad for our eyes. So in a world where we are constantly bombarded with harmful to your eyes radiation, Gunner, if you're in here, please give our classrooms Gunner optics glasses.
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to focus on too is that we need to adjust our line of thinking to more closely align with what the students expect and want to achieve in the classroom. So to keep that, we have to keep their interest focused all the time in the classroom too. And to do that, we try to implement programs that are similar to what their current interests are, because screen time, games, that's the way to go. I see it in my class. I'm a first-year teacher, and having anything that's game related just constantly has the students focused and working hard and challenging themselves more and more.
Kari, you were saying about earlier about having the kids write the continuing story of a World of Warcraft character. Do you want to tell that story?
I'm a big World of Warcraft gamer, and I use WoW in my classroom almost every day. I use it certainly with GameScore, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but there's so much wonderful aspects to the game that the kids really enjoy. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out the children's book, Snow Fight. It's an anti-bullying book that uses a few of the main characters, and I read it to the children during an anti-bullying lesson. And for their writing assignment, instead of doing the usual dry curriculum-based, I want you to write me a story, and the kids just drool all over their desks and cry through the whole procedure, I asked them to write a continuing story about the characters that we just read about. And every one of my students, boys and girls alike, wrote at least 5 pages, which is a huge accomplishment to get a 3rd grader to write anything more than a paragraph. So seeing them write more and become engaged and just using something that they can connect to because it's a video game and because a lot of my students, even in 3rd grade, actually do play Warcraft. It was something that I realized yes, we can bring games into the classroom and we can use it and we can keep them engaged. What is that?
Okay, so this is, these are a couple screenshots of 2 different web-based programs that I use in the classroom. Both are free, which are awesome for teachers. The main one that I see a lot of student interest with and involvement with is code.org. And I introduced my students to code.org with the Hour of Code event, where it's a global event, and schools from around the world just sign up and they don't collaborate, but they're all working on similar programming skills. And it's based on helping them create, think critically, and develop gaming skills, programming skills without realizing that they're doing it. So it's all game-based. A lot of the students could choose to do a Star Wars themed programming setup, or they could choose a Flappy Bird game. They could learn how to program what happens when you click the mouse, what happens when it hits a pipe, how do you change the scene. And a ton of them jumped right on the Minecraft thing too, because it was something they're super familiar with, and they didn't even realize that they were really learning something. It's all level based, so they have to follow a certain set of instructions, and it's all kind of puzzle pieces, so you drag and drop pieces in, so it's super easy for the kids to just learn really quick and then start like challenging themselves on. And then Digital Passport is really, really good too, because I can do subjects like cyberbullying, I can do search skills, and I can do a bunch of others. I've really only done search skills and cyberbullying so far, but each one they have an overview video teaching you a bunch of all the different dynamics of each subject. And then from there they play a game to kind of test their skills, and I get to see a report on both of these sites. I get to see a report on their progress, how well they did, and the feedback is just so well done for me. I get percentages, I can have them retake it if they don't meet a certain score. And the kids, it's all self-reliant, so they move at their own pace. There's no pressure from me, they complete what they can. And they really are receptive to that setup. So from that, on these screens, the ones with the bars with the yellow and green circles, that's the report for code.org. And there's a ton of information that I can get from that. I get their progress, I get the level that they're working on, and I can also see, it's hard to tell in the screenshot, but there's light green areas too, that tell me that they solved the level, but they didn't solve it in the best way. So I can have them revisit that, because sometimes there's loop patterns for the programming. So they have to use the loop code to lessen the amount of blocks they use to build their code. A lot of them ignore that completely, and they build it correctly, but they've spent so much time just recopying the same pattern over and over when they could have just done it really quick in like 4 blocks instead of 20. So I can get that for a ton of feedback. When I was looking at this, I had a 5th grader who does really, really well in computers. Sometimes it's a struggle to challenge her. And the first time they signed into code.org, she started playing around with the first few levels, and she skipped up to level 10. She skipped like eight stages, and I didn't notice until the end of class when I checked the report and stuff, because I'm usually walking around, and she looked like she was on the similar program as everyone else. And my first instinct was, I'm going to have her go back and get caught up with the class. That was my first thought. And after I thought that, I realized, like, I can't hold back a student who's jumping ahead because she needs to be challenged. I cannot punish a student for that. I can't force her to go back and start at levels that just aren't providing her the challenge that she is craving. Instead, I should really be rewarding that kind of experience that she's making herself have. And the way that she's forcing herself to better herself too. I can't justify ever having her go back that way. So code.org, like something like that, totally would tie into what we're going to talk about with GamerScore, and not punishing her for that, but like rewarding her in that way.
The current grading system, that the ABCDF grading system that most schools use now, or have used recently, unfortunately does force us to penalize the students and make them go back. So what we're going to talk about shortly is an alternative, a potential alternative grading system that would allow the students to push themselves beyond what we've simply required the rest of the class.
One of the things that Andrew and I were talking about earlier, especially with code.org, which we've both seen students just skip giant levels, is that the way that the original programmers wrote code.org for us to use has it based on what we should be teaching at certain age levels, which we found out doesn't always correlate with the Common Core and what our districts give us for curriculum. So that's actually pushing us teachers harder to make sure that there are no gaps in the children's education. One of the things that we noticed recently is third graders don't know angles, and they do not understand the concept of 90, 100 degrees, and 360. And that was really scary and terrifying, because on our national tests, regardless of what state you're in, those questions come up, and then that's also reflected poorly on the student in the district. So by doing this, we've realized that there are gaps in our curriculum and what we're teaching the kids, and it is pushing us to make sure that we fill all of the gaps as well.
So that brings us to GamerScore. GamerScore has been around for the better part of a decade in one manner or another. It's been adapted to multiple platforms at this point. And it's a more or less fixed quantity that's tied to achievements that a gamer achieves. It was created, I believe, I credit Microsoft for it, other people disagree. The phrase GamerScore as it stands is a Microsoft concept. So now, if I were to glance at my Xbox collection, I'm not a console gamer, so my collection's fairly limited mostly to Gears of War. But each game that I own contains about 2,000 achievements over the course of that game, each with a specific amount of GamerScore tied to it. Now, like I said, I don't play my Xbox a whole lot, so my GamerScore is considerably lower than, for example, my students who play Minecraft all the time. They are motivated to go after those achievements, and they know what they are, they know how much GamerScore is attached to them, and that's like when I'm just talking to them at lunch or recess, that's what they want to talk to me about. Does the specific number of GamerScore mean anything to them? Well, probably not. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make a GamerScore system that actually does mean something to the students? And so I started working on GamerScore in the classroom. Equivocating this system to the classroom, I'm going to treat the class as a whole, so let's say 7th grade media, as the console on which a piece of software is installed. Continuing that metaphor, each unit within the classroom becomes a game to be installed on that class. So for example, if I were teaching a unit on bedroom design or like 3D layout, that would be a game installed upon the classroom with its own set of achievements. Those achievements are assignments. In my classroom, almost every unit can be broken down into 3 parts. A explanation and class discussion, a mini activity, and a major project/assessment. For example, this room design project that I do with 7th grade, the explanation and discussion will be worth up to 150 gamer points. The exploring the 3D design software is a mini activity worth about 250 gamer points, and the design presentation would be worth about 550 gamer points, for a total of 950 available gamer points if someone were to get 100 on everything. Now, I consider 100 in my classroom the perfect score. People are not perfect, ergo people almost never get 100 on any one of my assignments. They can get close, certainly, 98, 99, but there's always room for improvement is a philosophy that I have all over my classroom. Now, not every assignment jives with every single student. Sometimes it's not interesting to them, or they've gone above and beyond, so it's not relevant to them. Many games have what I refer to as hidden achievements, in addition to the ones that are published. In the classroom, these are additional behaviors and tasks beyond those that are expressly written in the curriculum that illustrate a student's interest and motivation to push themselves a little bit further. This is the kind of thing like doing some extra research into new software that I could add to the classroom and giving a practical demonstration to the class. I had a student come to me the other day and say, hey, the software we're using for this room design project is not working for me. But I found this really neat piece of 3D design software on the internet. It's free, anybody can use it. And I said, great, Brandon, come to me in a week with a demonstration of this software and show the class. And I will give you the equivalent gamer points that you would have received for trying out the software we would have used. And he was able to make up that 250 gamer points in a way that was motivating and interesting to him.
That's something that I promote in my classroom too. The students are constantly finding either game-based keyboarding software or getting super excited about one that they have the job of proving it to me. Because I have software that I know definitely works, and I know what I want out of it. So if they get tired of dance mat typing, which a lot of them do because it's just the same thing over and over, and they want to find something that's more, keeps their interest more, I want to promote that, and I want to like have them go out and get that. But they have to come and show me like that it works, and that it works for them, and that it could work for other students too. And that's like one of my favorite philosophies of the class, because the kids are always coming to me with new ideas and helping me find new stuff, and it reduces the workload in some ways for me, because they're finding what's going to work for them too, and that helps reach everyone more too. Mm-hmm. And having like a gamer score associated with that for bonus points kind of thing just would totally rock my school system. I can't wait to start it.
One of the things I forgot to mention is there's a big push in education right now to move toward proficiency-based reporting. Unfortunately, there's not a really strong definition of that yet. So I thought, well, what if there's a level of proficiency attached to the gamer points? Let's say in my classroom I've been using 900. The students are responsible for finding a way to earn a minimum of 900 gamer points. The 3 assignments that I give them on a, let's say, bi-monthly basis, my classroom is all project-based, will give them, if they do them, that minimum of 900 gamer points, allowing 50 points here and there for a little bit of wiggle room. If they simply do those, they'll achieve that proficiency level. But if they go above and beyond, if they find their own activities that relate to the topic that we're discussing in class and find a unique way of presenting that, they can make up those points in a different way. If they have the 900 before the final assessment, functionally, they've proved that they're proficient. They would be exempt from that final assessment. They would still be responsible for doing something rigorous and relevant of their own creation in class, but the fact that they spent the time to prepare themselves to do that indicates to me that they're capable and competent enough to handle coming up with additional exercises beyond what they've already done.
Something which these guys, they're in New Hampshire and I'm in Maine, and unfortunately my district is 100% proficiency-based grading at this point, which if you're a teacher or a parent that has to deal with proficiency-based grading, I'm so sorry. It is horrible. Where they teach just 1 or 2 subjects, I am general education, so I am the one that has to teach everything. And I'm responsible for math, reading, writing, spelling, science, social studies, all of it. And in the course of a day, my kids have to go through the schedule of those subjects. And keeping track of the proficiency of 25 kids based on, and it's literally, and I really should have put it on a slide for you guys to see what one of them looks like for our grading system. You get a one sentence, maybe two if you're lucky. Can the kid do this? Yes or no? And it's super vague. And there's, for one subject in math, say multiplication to their 5 times table, there's maybe 30 different proficiencies they have to go through. And you have to keep track of every one of them for every kid and click on it and link it and make sure it's on their report card. And it sucks.
Giant time suck.
And with GamerScore, we've been talking about just how awful this is, and I threw out proficiency-based grading in my classroom last year. I told my principal, no, I'm not doing it, I don't care, it's awful. And she kind of looked at me and said, well, it's required, and I said, well, I'm not doing it. And I have already been using something very similar to GameScore and totally stealing Blizzard's achievements from Warcraft. My students will, for instance, in their math journals, they have to complete 11 little mini assessments, little mini pages. And then the 12th is their end assessment test. And I go through, and as soon as they raise their hand and they say they've done it, well, play the little achievement sound and look at that. You've leveled up a little in your math journal. And I use that language to them instead of saying, good job, you completed it. No, I say, you leveled up. And at the end of it, then they get the big level, and they get a little sticker that usually is like a cute little, totally stole it again from Warcraft. I'm sorry, was it? It looks like the little thing, level up, and I have a ding thing that I hit on my desk. And the kids love it. They really do love it. And at the end, I keep track of it, and then I can go back and say, well, look, this kid kind of didn't really get it, but they super nailed fractions. They didn't really get multiplication, but they are killing it in fractions. So I'm not going to fail them for math that quarter. That's mean. But I will go back and say, hey, now I know where you need to be. And then I can work with them and focus on exactly what that one kid needs instead of kind of glossing over and just saying, oh, you'll catch up next year, which unfortunately is the way the education system works.
Students inherently want to see numbers go up. If you ask a kid, they're always having more fun when the numbers are going up. I don't care what it is. It could be something as simple as, I don't know, cooking. If the numbers get bigger, it means they're making more food, it means their bellies are happier, and they get more excited about it. Cookies, right? Add more chocolate chips, the numbers go up, it gets more exciting. Grades, as they stand, the percentage or an ABCDF system, they're always in flux, and it can be really frustrating and demoralizing for a student when the numbers go down. Using GamerScore, as long as they're earning achievements and doing work that leads to achievements, their numbers are always going up, which means they stay excited, they stay engaged, and everything works better. Like I said, assuming that 950 GamerScore per unit, there's a nigh infinite number of ways that GamerScore can be achieved. It doesn't have to be the assignment. It's usually going to be the assignments that we give in class, but it doesn't have to be. And that alone will allow a student to really take control of their education and make it meaningful and useful to them moving forward for the rest of their life. Sorry. It's difficult to determine on some level the amount of GamerScore that going above and beyond would warrant. It's really up to the teacher's discretion, and the teacher is going to have to do a little bit of extra legwork to manage that. For example, while we were doing research for a bridge building project with my 8th graders, a certain aspect of bridge building caught the attention of one of my more mechanically inclined students, and he asked a great question to which I didn't know the answer. And I said, all right, AA Ron. I call him AA Ron. Has anybody seen the Key and Peele sketch? Yeah. I said, all right, AA Ron. You done messed up on that bridge. But I will give you that 50 gamer points back if you can find me the answer to this question. 3 days later, he comes back with a written paragraph submitted to me through Google Classroom, and I was like, yeah, that's it. There's the answer. We all learned something. We shared it with the class. Everybody got excited, and Aaron got his 50 gamer points back. Now, like I said, it's hard in my class to get 100. I still gave him that 50 gamer points because the bonus stuff that you do, I feel like that's always worth as much as it can possibly be, because it is the student taking charge of his own work. And you can't really penalize them at all for that. I mean, obviously, if Aaron had come back with one sentence, I wouldn't have been quite as excited about it as I did. I've never seen that kid write a paragraph in his life on anything. So I gave him 50 out of 50.
Yeah, and that ties into, I had a student who, her parent sent me an email. She had created a PowerPoint about an actress, Kate Todd, who she was absolutely enamored with. I didn't know who Kate Todd was. I didn't know My Babysitter's a Vampire. I had not seen that show or heard about it until her PowerPoint came through. And in the email, her mom had said, my daughter is so excited to show and hopefully share with the class this PowerPoint presentation and show off like what you've been learning in class. And we hadn't even touched like slides at all. Like, we didn't do presentations or anything. We were working on just touching base with Google Docs, and that was like the first start. So I was like, yeah, we've been doing great stuff with slides. I'm excited to show it off. And I'll totally take credit for that. So she came in and she gave this whole presentation. She totally rocked it. She was super poised. She was very articulate, knew exactly what she was going to say. I'm sure she practiced it at home. There was no way she just had the presentation and just winged it. And it was obvious she put a ton of work into it. And that kind of bonus work is like, that's where you get the confidence boost. And the confidence is for technology at the very least. That is my ultimate goal for K through 8, is not always teaching them, definitely teaching them like the finer points of how to find the save button, and that it's a purple floppy disk that none of them know what that is, or how to share it with me, and yes, my email is still atyler. Yes, this is how you find it. Getting those habits in is part of it, but the bigger part is instilling confidence in them. So, because we're trying to prepare them for technology jobs that don't even exist, so they need to be able to be flexible and jump into anything and not be afraid to just try out a new technology thing. So anytime that we can boost their confidence, that's the main goal of this. And GamerScore like totally would help them like go for that too.
And one thing with the way the current grading system is going and what I deal with proficiency-based, there is no bonus room. If a kid goes above and beyond, good job. Well, you're proficient. So, Alex could be sitting there and he could have done just the bare minimum legwork to become proficient. But Julia could have gone above and beyond and just killed her project and blew it out of the water. But she's still proficient. And it's such a letdown when you tell the kid, well, you're proficient and their project is 10 times better than the other kid that is also proficient, and it hurts them. And it really does lower their self-esteem. And when I was younger, the internet was just a baby. I don't want to date myself, but I really am not old. The internet was just a little tiny baby thing, and we didn't have to worry about what these kids nowadays have to worry about. Like, everything is shared, everything is out there, and they are constantly being nitpicked from every angle, far worse than we were. And one of the projects that I did last year, and I actually shared it on these kiddos right here, they were assigned to research in a group one of the Apollo missions for science. And this group and I love them. They chose Apollo 13, probably to suck up to me because I have 3 Apollo 13 tattoos. And they went above and beyond and actually built the O2 scrubber. And this is them working on it. And I know it's not an accurate O2 scrubber, and they're using a monster box, but I don't care, and it's adorable, and it's still sitting on my desk because I love it so much. But these kids obviously went beyond proficient. And in a regular grading system, there's no beyond proficient. In my classroom, they got their full achievement points, and then they actually got an extra achievement. And they also get to use, we have currency in my classroom. Again, it's just gold. And they actually, because their achievement was so awesome, they got an extra 10 gold apiece to save up for whatever they wanted to do in the classroom. And they all chose to save up for making me buy them Dominoes at the end of the year. Buggers, but and that was an expensive thing.
Oh, we'll get into reward systems in a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, but to see them at that age go that above and beyond, to be that interested in something that, what 7-year-old really wants to play with an O2 scrubber? I mean, nobody thinks of that stuff. They're more interested in like going home and logging on and watch Jacksepticeye doing something on YouTube, where my baby's in. But my kids actually did it. They went above and beyond, and it was a super proud moment for me to see them engaged in science. And now they're in 4th grade, and I check up on them, and every single one of them actually wants to be an engineer. So it's a good day.
So this, of course, begs the question, well, what if a student chooses to blow off the assigned work and pursue his or her interest instead? Well, I get that. I was that guy. In truth, for the most part, that really shouldn't impact them all that much. If the required number of gamer points to display proficiency is 900 gamer points per lesson, per unit, it doesn't matter how they get to that point, as long as they just get there. Now, like I said, it's attainable just by doing the work, but as long as they're doing enough bonus achievements to net that 900 by the end of the assigned time period, I think they're good to go. Given the relatively lower gamer score value of a self-designed activity, they're going to have to do a lot more and spend a lot more time both in school and outside of school to accomplish that goal. Now, and of course, if a teacher sees them not getting things accomplished, they can redirect them as we would in a conventional classroom. I can always reduce the number of gamer points possible for that bonus work if I see that they need to get back on track. And if they see that, oh, this bonus work I'm not doing is not going to quite get me to the 900 I need, they'll realize, okay, I need to shift gears and I need to go back and do something that maybe is not as exciting to me. And now that brings us to the reward system. For doing work above and beyond, in my classroom, the required 900, I allow my students to buy literally whatever their hearts desire. 550 gamer points to $1. So they have to spend quite a lot in order to get anything. They've become increasingly frustrated with me as they start to realize I'm not going to buy them an Xbox One. But I will buy them something like me to come out to an extra recess, or first dibs on books that I order for the library, or even just some extra time hanging out in my classroom playing a game or something. I have a board game collection in my library, and the kids love that. I mean, I guess that's why I'm dressed up as Setback from Sentinels of the Multiverse right now. The kids love playing Sentinels, and using their gamer score, or their excess gamer score, to buy time to do that is a huge thrill to them. Now, that's just one option. Next year, I might change that. I might restrict the number of things that they can do. But for right now, the kids seem motivated by it, so I'm not motivated to change it. Andrew does something a little differently.
My school has, we're the Andover Eagles, so as a reward system for kind of a school-wide thing, we do Eagle Bucks. Whenever a student shows they do like a really nice thing, like they hold the door open, we could give them an Eagle Buck. Or if they do exceptionally well in an assignment, we could give them an Eagle Buck. And classrooms, if the whole classroom performs exceptionally well, we could give them flocks. And if they earn enough flocks, the whole class gets a reward where they could get like a pajama party day and just watch movies that day, or they could have a pizza party or extra recess. So the currency for our school kind of ties into the gamer score, and I am the absolute worst at handing out these things. I see each grade only once a week, and my time feels so short, and I see them for 45 minutes. The last thing I'm thinking of is about handing out an Eagle Buck, and there's so many kids that totally deserve it, and almost on a daily basis, and I just can't keep track of that. It's just too much. But if I used GamerScore, what they could do is they could cash in their gamer points for Eagle Bucks, and then they're kind of managing their whole balance of points and stuff. Now, they don't lose the points when they cash it in. The points still stay the same. But I know you do something with like a checks and balances kind of thing.
I do. I have especially, so I've been piloting this system with my 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And one of the assignments that I've given them in the past is to keep a fake checkbook register for different things. So I decided to implement that for the gamer score instead. Anytime they score or they spend gamer score, they have to show it in their checkbook register. Anytime they add gamer score for unlocking an achievement, they have to write it in their checkbook register. And it's all automated through Google Sheets, so they have the opportunity to decorate it and make it more exciting. And I'll give them bonus gamer score for that. But they have to give me a reason, an explanation for both earning and subtracting gamer score. Otherwise, I don't consider it valid.
And suddenly that whole like handing out Eagle Bucks, I've had students come up to me and ask me what they're not doing right because they haven't earned an Eagle Buck from me. And I've told them, no one gets one from me. Everyone's doing awesome. Don't fret. The Eagle Buck does not define your classroom achievement, especially with me, because I just don't give them out anyway. So